The massive transport ship drifted through the cold darkness of space, its hull marked with the mandatory Dominion identification glyphs that branded it as human-operated. Inside the bridge, Captain James Turner stared at the approaching inspection station with tired eyes. This would be the third routine inspection this month. Another day, another reminder of our place in the universe, he muttered, adjusting his worn captain's uniform. The clothing still bore the patches of Earth's old Space Force, now nothing more than decoration, since the Dominion Alliance had stripped humanity of its military rights 30 years ago. The year was 2157, and humanity had learned the hard way that they weren't alone in the universe. First contact had come with smooth words and promises of advancement, but those promises had quickly transformed into regulations, restrictions, and the infamous Species Capability Guidelines. The inspection station's lights flickered in the distance, a gleaming purple structure that somehow managed to look both elegant and threatening. Turner's first officer, Robert Hayes, approached with a tablet displaying their cargo manifest. "Everything's in order, Captain. All cargo within permitted technological levels. No restricted materials," Hayes said, his voice carrying the same weary tone that all humans seem to share these days. "Though they'll probably find something to complain about anyway." Turner nodded, watching as the massive station grew larger in their view screen. The Dominion's architecture always had that same flowing, organic look that made human buildings appear primitive in comparison. Of course, that was exactly what they wanted. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. "They're requesting immediate docking." The alien voice that filled the bridge carried that familiar note of condescension that Turner had grown to hate. "Human vessel THV 2547, maintain your approach vector. Prepare for standard contraband inspection. Any deviation from authorized technology levels will result in immediate impounding of your vessel." Turner gave the acknowledgement signal, keeping his voice neutral despite the anger simmering in his chest. He'd seen what happened to captains who showed any hint of defiance. Last month, the Parker family had lost their entire shipping business because their captain had dared to question an inspector's decisions. As they docked, Turner couldn't help but notice the massive Dominion warships stationed nearby. Their sleek hulls bristled with weapons that humans were forbidden to even study, let alone develop. The official reason was always the same. Humanity isn't mature enough for advanced technology. It's for your own protection. The inspection team boarded with their usual mix of arrogance and thinly veiled disgust. Their tall, silvery forms moved through the ship's corridors like they owned them, which, legally speaking, they practically did. The lead inspector activated his translation device. Though Turner knew they could speak perfect English, it was just another way to remind humans of their place. "Captain Turner," the inspector's artificial voice crackled. "We detect unusual power readings from your cargo hold. Explain immediately." Turner shared a worried glance with Hayes. They'd been carrying nothing but basic agricultural supplies and simple manufactured goods. "All our systems are operating within approved parameters," he replied carefully. The inspector's multiple eyes narrowed. "We will determine what is within parameters. Your species has a troubling history of exceeding its authorized development levels." As the inspection team swept through the ship, Turner's crew stood by silently, watching as their personal belongings were scanned and their workstations examined. One young crew member, barely 18, had tears in her eyes as an inspector carelessly tossed aside the family photos from her workstation. Hours later, after finding nothing but still issuing 2 minor violations for excessive power efficiency, the inspection team finally departed. Turner stood at the viewport, watching the station recede into the distance, his hands clenched into fists behind his back. "One day," Hayes said quietly, standing beside him, "one day they'll realize what humanity is really capable of." Turner didn't respond immediately. He was thinking about his grandfather's stories of humanity's golden age of space exploration, before the Dominion had arrived with their treaties and regulations. Back when humans had dreamed of reaching the stars on their own terms. "Send a message to Central," he finally said. Tell them we'll be delayed reaching the colony. But make sure you use the old encoding we discussed. Turner knew that somewhere out there, others were feeling this same fury, this same need to break free. And maybe, just maybe, humanity's patience wasn't as endless as the Dominion believed. Dr. Emma Ward's laboratory didn't look like much. Located in the basement of an old mining facility on Mars, it was exactly the kind of place the Dominion inspectors tended to overlook. They never expected anything important to happen in such a shabby location. That was precisely why she had chosen it. She stared at the test results on her screen, running the numbers again and again. Her hand shook as she reached for her coffee cup, almost knocking it over. This couldn't be right. But the data didn't lie. Tom, she called to her assistant, come look at this. The young researcher hurried over, his worn lab coat too big for his thin frame. Like most humans living under Dominion rule, food wasn't always easy to come by. The aliens claimed it was just supply chain issues, but everyone knew better. These adaptation rates, Emma pointed at the screen, they're off the charts. Look at how human cells respond to new environments compared to other species. Tom's eyes widened as he studied the data. But the Dominion said we were one of the slowest adapting species. That's why they have to protect us. Emma laughed, but there was no humor in it. They lied. According to these results, humans adapt almost 10 times faster than any other known species. We don't just copy new technology, we improve it. A quiet beeping interrupted them. Someone was coming down the elevator. Emma quickly switched her screen to display approved research data as the laboratory's heavy door slid open. She relaxed when she saw Captain Turner walk in. James, she smiled. I wasn't expecting you until next week. Turner looked tired, his uniform wrinkled from long hours in his ship's captain's chair. Had another run-in with inspectors. Thought it best to move up our meeting. He glanced at Tom. It's he. He's with us, Emma assured him. In fact, he helped me make the discovery. She switched her screen back, showing Turner the test results. As he read, his expression changed from exhaustion to disbelief, then to anger. All this time, he whispered, they've been lying to us, holding us back, making us believe we were inferior. Emma nodded. It gets worse. Look at this. She pulled up another file, this one showing medical data from various human colonies. The Dominion's health treatments they force on our colonies, they're designed to slow down our natural adaptation abilities. They're drugging us, James. Turner's fists clenched. He pulled out a small data chip from his pocket. Then this makes even more sense. My contact in the Resistance found it during a raid on a Dominion data center. Emma inserted the chip into her computer. The screen filled with Dominion text, but thanks to years of secret study, she could read most of it. Her face paled. This is a report about humanity's potential threat level, she said, scrolling through the document. They'd known about us since first contact. They saw what we could become. Her voice trailed off as she reached the end of the report. What is it? Tom asked. According to this, we're not the first species they've done this to. But we're the first ones they're truly afraid of. Because we're different. When other species hit their limits, they stop. When humans hit a wall, we break through it, Turner finished. Emma stood up, her decision made. We need to get this information out. Not just to other humans, but to every species under Dominion control. They need to know the truth. Turner nodded. I have a network of captains ready. We've been preparing for something like this. Building ships in secret, gathering weapons. But we needed a reason, something to unite everyone. Now we have it, Emma said, copying the data to secure drives. But we'll need to be careful. The moment the Dominion realizes we know the truth, they'll try to stop us, Tom said, his young face hardening with determination. But they won't expect us to be ready. Emma looked at her life's work displayed on the screen. Years of secret research, hidden tests, and careful documentation, all proving what humanity had suspected deep down. They weren't weak. They weren't inferior. They were being caged. "How long will it take to spread the word?" she asked Turner. "A few weeks. Maybe less. People are ready for change. They just needed proof." As they began planning, a message flashed on Emma's screen. Another human colony was reporting unusual Dominion activity. Something big was coming. The question was, would humanity be ready in time? The New Haven colony was burning. From orbit, the fires looked like orange flowers blooming across the planet's surface. Captain Turner stood on his ship's bridge, watching the destruction through the main viewport. His crew worked in stunned silence, monitoring the emergency channels filled with screams and pleas for help. "They're blocking all rescue attempts," Hayes reported, his voice shaking with rage. "Dominion ships are shooting down any vessel that tries to land." Turner had never seen anything like it. The Dominion called it a quarantine action, but this was no quarantine. This was punishment. New Haven had been too successful, too innovative. They had developed quantum computers that rivaled Dominion technology, and now they were paying the price. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "I'm getting a transmission from Dr. Ward. It's on the secure channel." Emma's face appeared on his private screen. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "James, are you seeing this?" "I'm watching it happen," he replied, his voice hollow. "How many people?" 3 million colonists, Emma said. "And that's not the worst part. I've decoded more of their plans. This isn't just about New Haven. They're planning something bigger, much bigger." A flash of light drew Turner's attention back to the viewport. Another colony building had just been destroyed by Dominion weapons. The aliens weren't just destroying infrastructure. They were wiping every trace of human achievement from the planet's surface. "Captain," Hayes interrupted, "we're picking up transmissions from other human ships in the sector. They're asking for orders." Turner looked at his first officer in surprise. These weren't military vessels. They were merchants, miners, and transport ships. But right now, they were all that humanity had. "How many ships?" 27 within range. More are coming." Emma's voice came through the speaker again. "James, we have to do something. The Dominion thinks this will break us, scare us back into line. But they don't understand humans at all." Turner thought about all the years of humiliation, the countless inspections, the destroyed lives. He thought about his grandfather's stories of freedom, and about the data showing humanity's true potential. Something deep inside him, something that had been building for years, finally snapped. "Send a message to all ships," he ordered. "Tell them to prepare for emergency docking. We're taking on survivors." The Dominion warned against any interference. Hayes reminded him, though his hand was already moving to the communications panel. "I don't care anymore," Turner said. "Enough is enough." Within hours, a makeshift fleet of human ships had gathered at the edge of the system. They watched as Dominion warships continued their methodical destruction of New Haven. Each explosion sent ripples of fury through the growing human armada. "We can't fight them," someone said over the common channel. "Their weapons are too strong. We're not going to fight them," Turner replied, his voice carrying to all ships. "Not yet, but we're not going to let those people die either." He shared a quick look with Hayes, who nodded grimly. They had drilled this maneuver 100 times in secret, preparing for a day they hoped would never come. "All ships, execute scatter pattern Omega," Turner commanded. "Micro jumps only. Stay in the debris field. They think we're primitive. Let's show them how primitive humans can be." The fleet broke apart, each ship using the burning colony's debris as cover. They darted between pieces of destroyed stations and satellites, using techniques perfected by generations of smugglers and rebels. The Dominion ships, for all their advanced technology, couldn't track them all. One by one, human ships slipped through the blockade. They landed in burning cities and ruined spaceports, taking on as many survivors as they could carry. Some captains gave up their cargo holds, others their personal quarters. No one complained about the cramped conditions. As Turner's ship picked up its last load of refugees, he received another message from Emma. "It's spreading, James. Every human colony, every Earth city, they're all seeing this. The Dominion can't block all the transmissions. People are angry. They're ready." Turner looked at the scared faces of the refugees crowding his ship's corridors. Among them, he saw not defeat, but determination. The Dominion had made a fatal mistake. They thought destroying New Haven would break humanity's spirit. Instead, they had lit a fire that would soon engulf the galaxy. Admiral Marcus Stone sat in his underground office on Europa, reading the report for the 5th time. His hands trembled, not from the cold of Jupiter's moon, but from pure rage. The document in front of him, smuggled out by Turner's network, detailed the Dominion's next phase of human management. They planned to sterilize 60% of human colonies. The Dominion had labeled it as a population optimization protocol. But the truth was clear. They wanted to cut humanity down to a manageable size. "Sir," his aide walked in, "Dr. Ward has arrived." Emma entered the room, followed by Captain Turner. They both looked different now, harder, more determined. The past month since the New Haven massacre had changed everyone. "Tell me you have good news," Stone said, though he already knew the answer from their faces. Emma placed a data cube on his desk. "We sent diplomatic requests to every Dominion Council member. Asked them to explain the New Haven incident, to justify their actions." She laughed bitterly. "Want to hear their response?" Stone activated the cube. A hologram appeared, showing a tall Dominion official. Its voice dripped with condescension. "The human request for explanation is noted but unnecessary. As a protected species, you need not concern yourselves with matters beyond your comprehension level. Return to your assigned tasks." Turner stepped forward. "That's not all. Show him." Emma. She pulled up another file on Stone's screen. "We found their real response. The one they sent to other Dominion worlds." The document showed the Dominion's true thoughts. Humans were becoming too numerous, too resourceful. They were learning too quickly, adapting too well. The New Haven massacre wasn't just punishment. It was a test run. Stone stood up and walked to the window overlooking Europa's icy surface. Deep below them, hidden in tunnels officially marked as abandoned mining operations, humanity's secret fleet was taking shape. "How many ships do we have ready?" he asked. 327, Turner replied. "Built from scraps, hidden in asteroid belts and old space stations. They're not pretty, but they'll fight." "And the new weapons?" Emma smiled for the first time. "Better than we hoped. Turns out when you tell humans they're not allowed to develop something, they get really creative about developing it anyway. We've got ships that can outmaneuver anything the Dominion has. Weapons they won't expect. And best of all, they have no idea." Stone turned back to his desk and pressed a button. A hidden panel slid open in the wall, revealing a star map. Red dots marked known Dominion military bases. Blue dots showed human colonies. Yellow dots indicated their hidden shipyards and weapons facilities. "We're not ready," he said quietly. "We need more time." "We don't have more time," Turner countered. "The sterilization program starts in 3 weeks. If we wait, we'll lose everything." Stone knew he was right. The Admiral picked up an old Earth coin from his desk, a family heirloom from before first contact. He flicked it between his fingers, thinking about all the generations of humans who had dreamed of reaching the stars, only to find themselves caged when they got there. "Do you know why the Dominion really fears us?" Emma asked, breaking the silence. "It's not just our adaptation rate. It's because we're different from every species they've encountered. We don't just accept things. When we're pushed down, we push back. When they build a wall, we find a way around it, over it, or through it." Stone nodded slowly. He had made his decision. Send the word to all cells. Use the old code phrases. Tell them. He paused, looking at the star map again. Tell them it's time to show the galaxy what happens when humanity finally stops holding back. Turner straightened his uniform. I'll get back to my ship. The fleet in the Kuiper Belt is ready to move on your order. 3 days, Stone said. We strike in 3 days, simultaneously across 50 systems. The Dominion thinks they know everything about us, that they've seen all we can do. He smiled grimly. Let's show them how wrong they are. As Turner and Emma left, Stone looked one last time at the sterilization orders. The Dominion had pushed humanity too far, too fast. They thought they were being careful, methodical in their oppression. Instead, they had created exactly what they feared most: a humanity with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The Dominion's largest shipyard hung in space like a metal spider web, its spindly arms stretching for kilometers in every direction. Alien ships moved between the struts and repair bays, following precise, predictable patterns. The Dominion loved patterns. That would be their first mistake. Turner watched from the bridge of his ship, hidden behind a cluster of asteroids along with 30 other vessels. Similar groups waited near 50 other Dominion installations across the galaxy. All of them carried the same message in their computers, ready to broadcast. Humanity was done being silent. Signal from Admiral Stone, Hayes reported. All ships report ready. We're just waiting for Dr. Ward's broadcast. Turner nodded, checking the time. In exactly 3 minutes, Emma would reveal the truth to every species in the galaxy. The Dominion's lies, their plans for mass sterilization, their deliberate suppression of other races, everything would be exposed. Remember, Turner said to his crew, they think our ships are primitive. They think we can't fight. Let them keep thinking that right until the end. The minutes ticked by. Turner thought about New Haven, about all the colonies living under Dominion control, about Earth itself, stripped of its independence. His ship hummed with power, real power, not the weak engines the Dominion permitted. Human engineers had spent years secretly improving their technology, making it better than the original designs. Broadcast starting, Hayes announced. On every screen, every communication device, and every public display across Dominion space, Emma's face appeared. She looked calm, professional, and absolutely furious. To all sentient beings under Dominion control, she began, "You have been lied to. We have proof of the Dominion's true nature, their plans, and their crimes against multiple species. We are transmitting this data now." Turner watched his tactical display as confusion spread through the shipyard. Dominion vessels broke their careful patterns, trying to trace the broadcast source. But Emma was transmitting from 100 different locations, using methods humans had developed in secret. "They're scrambling their fighters," Hayes reported. "They still haven't spotted us." Turner waited. 3 minutes passed. 4, 5. The Dominion ships moved further from their bases, searching for the broadcast source. That was their second mistake. "Now," Turner ordered. His fleet erupted from the asteroid field, but not in the clumsy way the Dominion expected from primitive human ships. They moved like wolves, coordinated and deadly. The first wave hit the scattered Dominion fighters before they could regroup. Human weapons, real weapons, not the weak tools they'd been allowed, tore through Dominion shields. The aliens had grown comfortable with their superiority, never imagining that humans had been studying their technology, improving it, making it their own. "Multiple impacts," Hayes called out, excitement in his voice. "Their shields aren't designed for our targeting patterns. They can't adapt fast enough." Turner allowed himself a small smile. The Dominion had always fought the same way, using tactics unchanged for centuries. But humans had spent their entire history adapting, improving, finding new ways to solve old problems. Similar battles erupted across the galaxy as humanity revealed its hidden strength. 50 simultaneous strikes, each led by captains who had endured years of humiliation, waiting for this moment. "Sir," Hayes pointed to his screen, "look at these readings from the other sectors." Reports flooded in from across Dominion space. Other suppressed species, inspired by humanity's example and Emma's broadcast, were rising up. The Dominion's careful hierarchy was crumbling as centuries of resentment exploded into action. Direct message from Admiral Stone, the communications officer announced. The Earth Defense Fleet has broken out of their hidden docks. They're engaging Dominion forces in the Sol system. Turner watched as another Dominion cruiser fell to his fleet's attacks. The aliens still hadn't adjusted their tactics, couldn't comprehend how primitive humans were defeating their superior technology. They never understood that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their ships or weapons. It was their ability to adapt, to improvise, to take what they learned from every defeat and turn it into victory. "Send word to all ships," Turner commanded. "Push forward. Show them exactly what humanity can do when we stop holding back." The shipyard's defenses crumbled as human vessels struck from multiple angles, using maneuvers no Dominion commander had seen before. Today would be remembered as the day humanity broke their chains, but Turner knew it was more than that. It was the day the galaxy learned why suppressing human potential had been the Dominion's greatest mistake. 2 weeks after the initial uprising, the Dominion's grip on the galaxy was falling apart. Their fleets, once proud and unstoppable, now fled before the combined forces of humanity and its new allies. Emma watched the tactical displays in her makeshift command center on Mars, tracking the rapid changes sweeping across known space. "Another Dominion battle group has surrendered," her assistant reported. "This time in the Orient sector. They're requesting to join our coalition." Emma wasn't surprised anymore. After she had exposed the truth about the Dominion's manipulation of other species, their carefully built empire had begun to crumble. Races that had been held back for centuries were discovering their true potential, and they were angry. "Send the data to Admiral Stone," she ordered. "And get me Captain Turner." Turner's face appeared on her screen moments later. He looked tired but satisfied. Behind him, she could see repair crews working on his ship's bridge. The last battle had been rough, but they had won. "The Dominion's running scared," Turner said without preamble. "Their own people are turning against them. Seems we weren't the only ones they were lying to." Emma pulled up her latest analysis. "Look at these adaptation rates. Every species they suppressed is showing incredible growth now that the restrictions are gone. The Dominion didn't just hold us back. They held back the entire galaxy's evolution." A warning alarm interrupted their conversation. New ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system. Emma's heart raced until she saw their identification signals. It was Admiral Stone's fleet, returning from their mission to free Earth's outer colonies. "They never expected this," Turner said, watching the massive fleet of mixed human and alien ships move into formation. "They thought if they kept us divided, kept us fighting each other for scraps of technology and trade rights, we'd never realize our true strength." Emma nodded. The Dominion's biggest mistake had been their own arrogance. They had studied humanity's potential but misunderstood it completely. They saw humans' ability to adapt and thought it made them dangerous. They never considered that it also made humans excellent teachers and allies. "New transmission from the front lines," her assistant called out. "The Resistance fleet in the Centauri sector has captured a Dominion research facility. They found something big." The data began flowing across Emma's screens. Her eyes widened as she read. "James, are you seeing this?" "I see it," Turner replied grimly. "Those monsters, they didn't just suppress our technology. They were stealing it, taking our innovations, our adaptations, and using them to improve their own systems." Emma's hands flew across her console, analyzing the new information. They've been doing it to every species they conquered, taking each race's unique developments and keeping them for themselves. That's how they stayed in power for so long. More reports flooded in as other liberation forces made similar discoveries. The Dominion hadn't just been guardians or protectors. They had been parasites, feeding off the creative energy of countless civilizations while keeping them too weak to resist. "Admiral Stone is calling an emergency meeting," Turner said. "The coalition leaders want to plan the final push. We've got the Dominion on the run, but their core worlds are still heavily defended. Emma looked at her latest simulation results. They showed something the Dominion had never considered possible: different species working together, combining their strengths, sharing their knowledge freely. Humanity's gift for adaptation had sparked a fire that was spreading across the galaxy. "Tell Stone I'll be there," she said. "And James, bring the new weapons, the ones we developed by studying their own technology. Let's show them just how well humans can adapt." As she prepared for the meeting, Emma thought about how far they had come. The Dominion had tried to keep humanity weak, trapped in a cage of regulations and restrictions. Instead, they had created the perfect conditions for humanity's greatest strengths to emerge: determination, creativity, and the ability to unite others in a common cause. The final battle was coming. The Dominion would face not just humanity, but a galaxy awakened to its own potential. They would learn that some forces, once unleashed, can never be contained again. And it had all started because they pushed humanity one step too far. The Dominion homeworld filled the view screen of Turner's ship. Once, its gleaming towers and orbital rings had seemed like magic to humanity. Now they just looked like the bars of a prison that had held the galaxy captive for too long. "All ships report ready," Hayes announced from his station. Around them, the largest fleet ever assembled in known space waited for the signal to attack. Human vessels flew alongside ships from 24 other species, all united in their desire for freedom. Admiral Stone's voice came through the command channel. "Remember, we're not here for revenge. We're here to end their control, not become what they were." Dr. Ward's team is ready with the broadcast. "Captain Turner, take your group in." Turner looked at his crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that he felt in his heart. "Let's finish this." The battle began like a dance. The Dominion's defenses were strong, but predictable. They had ruled for so long that they had forgotten how to face real challenges. The combined fleet moved in patterns they had never seen before, using tactics developed by a dozen different species working together. "Their shields are adapting," Hayes reported as the first wave hit the orbital defenses, "but not fast enough. Our weapons are changing faster than their systems can cope with." That was humanity's gift to the Alliance: the ability to adapt and improve in the middle of a fight. Other species had their own strengths. Together, they were unstoppable. Emma's voice crackled through the command channel. "The broadcast is ready. We're going to show every being in their empire the truth, not just about their lies, but about what we've achieved together." Turner watched as Dominion ships tried to maintain their perfect formations, but perfection was their weakness. They couldn't handle the chaos of multiple species fighting in different ways, all at once. Their carefully ordered world was falling apart. "Sir," Hayes pointed to his screen, "look at the orbital platforms." The Dominion's own people were turning against them. Stations that should have been firing at the Alliance fleet were going dark, their crews choosing freedom over control. The truth of how their leaders had stolen and suppressed innovation from other species had shaken their society to its core. Emma's broadcast reached every screen and communication device in the Dominion Empire. But this time, she wasn't alone. Leaders from every species in the Alliance told their stories, showed their evidence, and revealed how much stronger they had become by working together. "Their central defense grid is down," Hayes reported with a grin. "They never thought anyone would get this far, never planned for it." Turner nodded. "Send in the landing teams. It's time to end this." The final assault was almost anticlimactic. The Dominion's leaders, faced with the combined might of all the species they had tried to control, surrendered. Their perfect system, built on lies and stolen innovation, couldn't stand against the real power of unity and cooperation. Hours later, Turner stood in the Dominion's Grand Council chamber with Stone, Emma, and representatives from every Alliance species. The room that had once held the galaxy's greatest oppressors would now see the birth of something new. "The treaty is ready," Emma said, looking at the document that would reshape their civilization. "Every species will have an equal voice. No more protected species status. No more stealing innovations. We share our knowledge, grow together. Stone looked around the chamber. They thought controlling us made them strong. They never understood that real strength comes from working together, from combining our different ways of thinking and doing things. Turner walked to the window, looking out at the city below. Dominion citizens were already mingling with members of other species, sharing stories and ideas that had been forbidden for centuries. The hunger for knowledge and connection was stronger than any artificial barriers. "You know what the funny thing is?" he said to Emma and Stone. "They pushed us so hard to keep us from reaching our potential. But by doing that, they created exactly what they feared, a humanity that learned to adapt, to fight back, and to unite others. They tried to cage us, and instead, they set the whole galaxy free." As the new council prepared to sign the treaty, Turner thought about how far they had come. From a single merchant captain refusing to bow to another inspection, to a galaxy united in freedom. The Dominion had believed they could control the natural evolution of civilizations. Instead, they had learned the hard truth that some forces, like humanity's spirit and the power of unity, could never be contained. Their story would be told for generations, the tale of how humanity's final snap had broken not just their own chains, but the chains of an entire galaxy.